tonight, and then in the meantime, I'll queue up. So you probably haven't even seen the community updates. I looked back the
I
last
haven't.
last week, and it's like, wow, we have we have been cranking stuff out. So I see we got a pretty cool group here. We got the Monday party crew here. So Bogey,
The
Dr.
crew.
Doge, Omcom. I'll bring you guys up eventually to kind of check out how what shenanigans you guys were up to during the tutorial and afterwards. But yeah, Ash, the first thing I'll probably start grilling you on is the most recent post that you got about terrain and and my personal favorite here is the floating islands. Let me see if I can get this to show up correctly. I guess I'll share the whole. Let me just actually share the whole screen
Yeah.
so you can look at it. I'm sorry, guys.
Yep.
This is gonna be bright for you. I know you guys are like in dark mode. You love dark mode stuff, um, and this is way too bright for you guys. But
Dark mode for life.
yeah. All right, there you go. It's tell us about this terrain stuff. You have this like hidden in a branch somewhere in the world, in a magical universe.
So yeah, so this happened like very late last year, and it was in the reference build for the new V2 Hyperfy, right? And the basic idea was like people don't know how to use Blender and stuff like that, so we want kind of like to give them the idea. We still want to yeah that kind of stuff, and so I think my thinking around that time was that people should just be able to do the same sort of thing, but not in a blocky world, just like a normal kind of environment. So that's when I kind of went down this rabbit hole for. I think I spent like a good 2 weeks on this. Just going down the rabbit hole, trying to figure out how voxel terrains usually work, like smooth voxels as opposed to square voxels. So it uses a similar concept to Minecraft, except that it smooths all the edges. And it's like higher fidelity, obviously. Yeah, so I just kind of played around with this for a bit. Marching cubes is the name of the algorithm. A couple of different variations of it that give you kind of different things, but basically lets you like dig holes in mountains and kind of just morph the terrain as you want. Um, it was cool. So this was in the original reference before we brought it over to the new Hyperfy V2 repo. There are fragments of it still in the GitHub repo. So they're kind of just sitting there and ready to connect up. I don't think, yeah, it says here that the plan was to make it multiplayer. The it doesn't have multiplayer. I think I had a pathway forward for that, and I've got some notes I can check for it. But yeah, I think like it's pretty good. Like this demo that you've got showing was I think one of the first ones that I did. There's another one there as well, where it actually had terrain splat maps, so you could have different textures and you could basically paint the terrain, and have them however you wanted to look, and you could change the textures if you wanted to use like grass or dirt or sand and that kind of stuff. You could kind of paint them. You just paint on the world, like in the world, you would paint it, which I thought would be pretty cool. It's better than having to get everybody to kind of like make these custom things outside of the platform. Um, yeah, so I'm excited for it. There's definitely like hurdles that we have to like jump across there. This island one that we're looking at was an experiment on the size of the terrains because you want these things to load really fast, especially on mobile. You kind of want them to like just pop in and load really quick. And as you can see, like there's actually like 3D depth to the colors. So the grass was on the top, but the dirt, even though you couldn't see it, was still painted under the ground. And so when you dig into it, you actually get to see the textures. So there's a lot of data going on there that kind of blends between all of the things that happens there. Um, yeah, the performance was one of the issues because there's a lot of data going on, but there's a lot of compression techniques and stuff that we can do to get around that. But for the most part, I think the islands would need to have a fixed size. Um, just because like infinite terrain would be basically infinite data and it would take forever to download unless we did something like streaming. But yeah, I think this, even though this was a test, I think like it kind of proved that it's possible on the web to do something like this. I haven't seen a lot. I've seen a few examples of this kind of stuff on the web, but I think I pushed it a little bit further already just in the demos, make sure that it was kind of like viable as a viable option, which I think it definitely is. I think this is something we can have. The PZ brought this up yesterday, and this is why I was bringing up some old tweets just to show that it's kind of like possible. If we wanted to get this in the platform, there's still a couple of things we need to figure out. One of which is the UX of that. People obviously need to be able to sculpt the terrain, and they need to be able to paint them and swap the textures out, and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's that would just require us figuring out like a nice, simple user experience for how to manage that. Yeah.
And when you say and when you wait, sorry.
It's
Sorry about that. Yeah. So when you say performance, so going back earlier, your comment, you were saying performance from a like a building, like sculpting perspective, or actually when this loads, it's actually dynamically loading and calculating all of the various bumps and grooves that a person has made, and then it's calculating and rendering that out.
Yeah, so
And that's
the
what.
the performance, once it's loaded, the performance is actually great. The thing that I noticed the most was probably the loading times of the world increase. Because the first time you enter it, it has to generate this mesh. So it has to get the current state of the terrain, and it has to load all of those vertices, build that whole giant mesh of custom terrain,
God.
with the painting and the shader and all that kind of stuff. And that can add like a good couple of seconds to the world load, which honestly isn't that bad. But depending on the size that we choose to do, if the larger the world, the more memory, the more size, and the more time it's going to take to load into that world. So I think it's about finding that balance. Like, what do we want? What's the minimum viable amount of terrain that people will need to get like to have the most the best experience.
Yep. And Dr. Judge there says he needs it. And is this, I know this is getting a little wild now, but is this something where occlusion could help, where you load up partial maps and kind of split it up? Or is it
Uh,
is like split it
Funnily
all?
enough, probably not much the occlusion culling, no. Unless you had separate islands or something like that, maybe. Yeah. Another option is that we could just use height maps, rather than like full 3D terrain where you can dig holes and stuff like that. Like in this video, there is the concept of a height map, which is a lot simpler, and it uses less data and it would load a lot faster, and you could probably have a lot larger terrain, for like more bang for your buck. The only difference is that you wouldn't be able to have like overhangs and tunnels and that kind of stuff. But you'll see height map terrain in a lot of games. Like World of Warcraft is an MMO, for example. They're basically using that. When I say height map, it's basically just a giant plane, like flat plane, and it's split up into a giant grid, and each of those vertices can either go up or down, but they can't move sideways. So that's how you essentially just get hills or troughs and that kind of stuff in the terrain. But yeah, that's completely viable, and a lot of MMOs and stuff use that. In fact, a lot of games use it as well. Unity's terrain system is not voxel based; it's height map based. So you can do a lot with it. It's not as, if you're like super creative, you'll probably find it limiting. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a, maybe we could get a voting thing on that or something.
So Hero P votes for height maps. He said it would be fire.
Yeah.
And I think the creativity comes less from capability and more from just taking what you can, and making an experience out of it. So I would go back to like ping pong. Ping pong barely had any UI UX, but it was built in such a way to keep somebody entertained. So um, definitely just takes the right experience to get the the thing going.
Yeah, from if you look at it from like a progressive point of view, you've got the flat grass that we currently have as a default. And if you were to swap that out with a height map would be the next layer, and then if you wanted to go really crazy, you would do like a full voxel, smooth voxel type thing. But 50 by 50 by 50 voxel terrain, the bogey. I think, yeah. As far as I can tell, I was looking at things like Nifty Island, so they kind of have a better scenario for this where everything's an island, and everything's so you've got Nifty who, you got like water, and then you've got a little tiny little island that pops up, and so as from what I could see, their islands are about 120 or 140 meters radius, and they're in like a cylinder shape, which to me was weird because I thought that seems a little bit small. But compared to some of the islands that I've seen, maybe that number isn't correct, but that's what it seems to say on their docs. But yeah, if it was something like that, I mean, it would probably load a lot faster than what I was playing around with, which was quite big terrains. Yeah, I think it's just about like it's if you think about the current grass, it's just like, oh, I want to put a building over here, but it would be cooler if it was nestled in like a little bit of a um hilly, like some hills around it and stuff like that. And then I would put another building over here, and it'd be good if I could just paint this like pathway from this building to this other building. Um, yeah, it would unlock a lot more freedom and creativity and stuff like that without needing to go into something like Blender and do it all like that.
Bogey is asking something about the Octree being affected by the voxel stuff.
Not sure the Octree was affecting the voxel stuff. Hmm. I'm sure you mean.
Yeah, let's. You folks want to come up and talk if you'd like? Just raise your hand. I can grab you, bring you up to speak. And then talking about freedom, you also posted recently something that resonated pretty well in terms of first is this two separate topics like governance and then user generated content, or how are these two concepts related to each other? I'm curious to get your take.
um, Governance models, reputation, stake voting challenges are the only way to build a viable virtual universe. Yeah, it was just about like I find governance interesting because there's just there's a lot. I think I tried to pack a lot into that tweet, and I can't even remember what exactly was going on through my head, but it seemed relevant at the time. Um, when you think about UGC, it kind of changes everything. With like you have in an MMO, for example, everything is like completely driven by the publisher, and they get to choose all of these like this balance across the whole game or platform, right? Like they get to say that this item is worth this much, and it's their choice, and they get to choose which objects are available and that kind of stuff. But when we're thinking about building something that's completely open with user generated content, and even things like leveling in combat, it's like, how do you balance that? Does it naturally balance itself? Do you need governments? Do you need like proper governance for that? Um, it's just it's an interesting thing to me. It's one of the things that fascinates me the most. There's a lot of people who have kind of like talked about this, but every time I read it, I see problems in it, and so it's yeah. I think this is something that we're going to have to spend a lot more time on in the future once we get a little bit deeper. But basically, yeah, in anything that has existed before now, they've never really had to worry about this problem because they don't have interoperable objects cross world, and they don't have this concept of like the scripts being so flexible that they can do things like create level systems and combat, and quests and progression. Even something like Second Life, for example, doesn't even have that kind of like level of fidelity, I guess, when it comes to scripting. You can't create quest systems inside of there. Like the objects in a Second Life the scripting in a Second Life object really just lets you control what that object does. Just moves around. It does things when you click it or come near it. You know what I mean?
Right. And
Whereas we're kind of like giving people access to like a full proper Turing complete scripting language that they can create leveling systems and combat and magic and quests and all that kind of stuff. It gets a little bit crazy, and it's like, well, if I made a leveling system where you could level up and do things, but somebody else made a leveling system, how would they interoperate? If I made a gun that did 20 DPS, but I wanted to be able to let people use other guns in my world, but somebody made a gun that did 1 billion DPS, then how do I balance that? Like that's gonna make the game unbalanced that I've created. So I think there's gonna be like 2 layers to that in my mind. The first layer is that you have this concept of like test worlds or non-official worlds where people can script and do whatever the hell they want. But then you just have this kind of like core official public universe where people basically create content to expand on that universe, but they vote on balancing factors. So if somebody creates a gun that a level 50 person can use, that, or like a sword or a magic spell or something like that, that is only available at a certain level, it does this much damage, then you would have to make a proposal when you submitted that to the public worlds, the actual governed worlds, and it would have to pass that vote. And there's a lot to that. When I say things like reputation and staked voting, I'm basically saying like we can create this giant cinematic universe that will work, but with governance,
It
you'll
needs to
need to
be
have things like
balanced.
reputation.
Yeah. The multiverse must stay balanced. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can like riff off of like Marvel's Sacred Timeline, that's like what the timekeepers are trying
Yes.
to keep stable. I completely get
Yeah.
that. That's a vibe. That's a
That's
vibe, man.
sick.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It's
like it.
it's really getting down to like we're actually talking about things like Ready Player 2, like Ready Player 1 level. Man, that's funny. I said Ready Player 2. I'm listening to Ready Player 2 at the moment, and a lot of people have not read Ready Player 2, and if you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's kind of
Wait,
like
that's a book? Wait, what?
yeah, man. It's
Oh, bro.
it went under the radar and nobody's heard of it, but Ready Player 2 is actually a sick book. I thought I was gonna get like uh you know how a lot of people bring out their second movie and it's just like a Hail Mary pass where they hope that they just make a little bit extra money by shoving it out into the universe.
Yeah.
I thought that Ready Player 2 would be like that, but so far I've been really freaking enjoying it, so highly recommend. I've just been like listening to that on my walk. It's like my incentive to go for a walk each day and do some fucking exercise.
Oh,
So
what? Okay,
yeah,
what?
gets me going.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so like when I say reputation and stake voting, man, this kind of stuff was like this is really cool. It's gonna be like super interesting to see how it plays out. But basically, if you make a proposal and you say, "Hey, I want to bring this thing into the world," you're saying like, "Oh, my script doesn't do something malicious. It's not like a piece of shit. It doesn't like it plays well with the rest of the universe." Um, and you'll get reputation based on that. And reputation is free, so like if somebody votes that you said something but it did something completely different, then your reputation would go down and your reputation would go up if you did something good, and you could build
Kind of like
reputation for
Reddit.
free. It doesn't cost anything.
Kind of like
But when
Reddit
it comes
karma. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, like Reddit karma, and it's
Mm.
free. Like there's no coin, there's no token. But then you have this kind of like ability for doing staked votes, and for things that matter a lot, you're gonna want to do that. Like to put your money where your mouth is, basically. So you can get the same way that you would do you would vote on nodes. So like in Ethereum and Solana, when you create your own node to add to the blockchain and run all of those like transactions, it's hard for somebody to trust that your node will validate those transactions correctly, and so you have to stake money. So you stake Solana or Ethereum, and that basically goes into like this into the blockchain. I don't know a hell of a lot about how the deep parts of that work, but you stake money, and if you start validating transactions incorrectly or like doing something weird, then the other validators can disprove you and slash your stake and take some of it or all of it. And so you're basically putting your money where your mouth is. You're saying, hey, I'm going to be a good guy. I'm going to play well in this universe. And if I'm not, here's my money, and like you can all vote to take that if I do something wrong. It's such a fucking good idea. Like if anyone hasn't gone down that rabbit hole, I highly recommend just like opening ChatGPT and asking questions and being like, how does this stuff work? Because it's fascinating how it even without this, none of what we do on the blockchain would even exist because it wouldn't be possible. And so I think we can do the same sort of thing with what we're doing, right? So we can have this concept for anything that's actually like super important. We should be getting people to stake, and for a lot of creators, obviously they don't want to stake because they don't have a lot of money, or maybe the people that are starting out, the creators that don't have that kind of stuff. Then you can fall back to things like reputation, which are free, and you can also have like platform sponsored fees, even across staking and that kind of stuff as well. But yeah, there's a lot to it. I find it fascinating, and this is something I think about most days. It's basically my Roman Empire. I know we're building an engine and kind of like having a lot of fun with it, but like my brain is way, way, way in the future, and just like I'm basically like trying to carefully take the right steps so that we can get to that crazy ass future thing that I have in my head and that people talk about all the time.
And you compressed it into this tweet. You actually, all the concepts we covered there that you talked through is represented there. It's just encrypted in there. I would
Yeah.
throw in there a
If you
concept.
know anything about any of the stuff in that tweet, you would look at that and think I'm absolutely fucking psychotic because it doesn't. There's too much there.
But it does tie together that the UGC, it is a completely unique situation where people are able to bring their creations, the thoughts and desires of what they want to create into a digital universe, and they can interoperate across multiple worlds. I would throw in another concept that is a little bit less ambitious than the cinematic world, is where projects are coordinating. And so there's a translation layer basically between games. So people create their own games, and then in between they coordinate and say, okay, look, let's coordinate a little bit and translate what your 10 DPS sword is versus your 1 million DPS sword item in the other world. I think that is definitely a world or a possibility in between, your fringe open worlds that are just out in the wild, and the cinematic worlds where you have that full governance in place.
Yeah, and a lot of people get past thinking about these kinds of problems by basically just doing skins. You know what I mean? So like the publisher, the creator of these platforms, they still get to balance it and do it with whatever it is that they want to do. But then they
Yeah.
kind of like allow the UGC by just letting people skin things. And I mean that's a pretty good start, but I think we can go deeper than that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, Bogey, what you wanted to talk through? What you guys got going on? I saw the hype repo up and running. How's that? Could you tell us that a little bit about that process? How you're seeing how people will use that, and when we might be able to start seeing hypes being moved from all hypes into a repo like that.
Well, that's a good question. So we just like we started to notice we had some like pretty standard stuff, like like stuff from V1, like some nostalgic apps from V1, like Place and Zones, and we just kind of like
Mm.
resurrected them, I guess. So we have Portal and Spheria, and there's a little like trying to add readmes and stuff to the repo, but it's just a little repo with a bunch of hypes in there. And we also added a manifest that kind of resembles what's in the Hyperfy repo for the collection to potentially be added, just in case. I don't know. But yeah, there's a couple hypes there. We're adding some more. We recently figured out like cool camera anchors. So like they all kind of work together. Like you can just put a place down, and then it's got obviously like it has it's not just like I could probably show you actually, but it's just like a little like red little location pin, and it spins. It's a little skin mesh. And it's got this little like world UI, and it shows you the XYZ coordinates of the thing. So when you place it, it says this is where I am in the world. You know, if you want to see that, obviously you can hide them, but yeah, like that was it was the beginning of it, and then we like learn how to use commands. So like that kind of like got thrown in there. So like it can just do, yeah, it's really nice. Like when you have like a bunch of places you could like go through, and there's other stuff coming that uh just makes that a little like managing all these things that are scattered around your world like easier um to manage, you know, a more contained UI thingy. Omka's working on that at the minute. But yeah, we got some hypes rolling if anyone wants to use. Yeah, we just thought we'd put them on GitHub because I don't know. I want to figure out how to do like sub modules, like kind of like Eliza OS is doing. I noticed that when I've been playing around with the Eliza Hyperfy plugin, it's really fun, and like a little chunk of Hyperfy source code like gets when you do a git clone, it like gets pulled along with it. So I want to figure out how that works and see if that could be added alongside, you know, in the collections folder at some point. I don't know. I think that could be a good way of people
The
submitting.
reason they're
I don't
not
know.
using the reason they're using GitHub subrepos is because they want Hyperfy to be an npm library. And
Oh,
that's I think even Sean might have made a PR for that.
oh
I think
snap.
so.
Okay.
It's probably the only way that they could currently do it.
Oh wow. Okay. I just thought it was pretty cool that when you like clone something, it like brings something else with it. Well, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we use that for PhysX as well, for the physics library, where it has to like we have this build
Oh,
system and then it has the actual like source code for PhysX embedded in it. It's pretty cool.
what?
So tell me, what's this what is home directory? I've seen
Oh,
it pop
what's
up
home
a few times.
directory? That's like that's just where the homies hang, man. It's the house, you know. We got this little house. It's kind of
Homie.
like
Is it like a is it so it's a faction?
I wouldn't say so. It's more of like, you know, like a kind of like content house, you know, or like it's just where there's like it's a clubhouse where we hang and just like kind of like
That's a cool name.
hype code house, you know, like yeah.
Sick.
There's more coming,
Mickey
like
Mouse Clubhouse.
I'm
exactly,
sorry.
yeah, man.
My
Like
kids have that
this.
song drilled into my head.
It's a good song. It's a good song. But we have like we got some things, you know, cooking, but we're just helping out some other homies at the minute. I'm busy with that, but yeah, the neighborhood the neighborhood is coming, you know. And you can come see.
But is that
Some stuff.
Clubhouse the studio that you folks were hanging out in the other day
No,
on
oh,
Monday?
so that studio, that was I don't know, I got curious and I just spun up a world on Render Pipeline, and we're just, you know, just testing it out, figuring things out, you know. And I had this like this studio thing, and I was like, you know what, half of this thing's baked, the other half's untextured. I'm just gonna, you know, shout out Bucks for the awesome atlas. I just threw the atlas on like the other half, you know, just want to see performance, you know. I'm curious. So that world turned into like a really nice spot to do stuff. And then Dr. Dush just started cooking, you know, he started hype coding up these camera anchors, and then it was like in a relatively decent spot for show and tell on Monday, and then people just kept coming in. It was really fun. We were in there for hours, man. It was crazy. Um, yeah, it
That
was a good time.
that's a cool little space. Has good vibes.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool because like luckily Rumble has a pretty decent like synthwave stream or like streams. You can like like you can put M3U8s from Rumble. It's nice. And there's like a lot of 24-hour streams there. I need to figure out getting Twitch because there's a lot, like I feel like there's more variety on Twitch, but I don't know. Anyway, but yes, there's like music there, and then yeah, it's nice. Nice little spot.
Need some web views.
Oh, I'm glad you
That'd be
said
nice.
that. Yeah, web views would be clutch.
And then was that right that I saw like an NPC that like kicks you out of the room, like pushes you out, or was that something like
Oh, what, that big monster or Shwebe, the pink frog?
yeah, the big monster.
Oh yeah, Doge dropped a Deathclaw in, and it just started like knocking us around. Also, we made this like emote that like does a little bit of physics on the player, so it like looks like you punch or like you can tackle into a player. And we cranked the numbers up for the push force, and like it would just like it's just hilarious. And you hit a player, you just go flying, man. You go flying because there's like nothing, like the studio's like super high up. I was just like, okay, I'm just occlusion color. I was like, okay, put this up way up here. There's nothing else around. Should be chill. Like, and I guess it was working. So I was like, sweet. So yeah, you just get knocked out, kind of like Super Smash. It felt like Smash Bros. A little bit. It's pretty sweet, man. Yeah, it's good fun.
When ragdoll, man, that'd be funny.
Ooh.
Knock somebody out and they just ragdoll. Imagine, yeah, that'd be cool. I have to say, I don't think I've ever seen a VRM ragdoll before.
I think it's possible.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. We need like a physics
Like
system
it's
for it.
most what are they spheres, like
Yeah, use
stretched
some
out
like
like sausage
cylinder
man.
or like yeah,
Yeah.
capsules for each bone.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, VRMs export with colliders like that, so it could
Do
be.
they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can export. Yeah. That's they you can. Well, it's optional if you want to do wiggle bones, like if you want them to like
Oh,
self
that's
collision
right.
and stuff.
Yeah, you can have your
Yeah.
like hair avoid your head and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yes, so
that's
those
right.
could be shaped into like a little, I don't know, it's possible. But I don't know if we're reading the shape of an empty and I don't know,
Yeah, I'm not
questions.
sure. There's yeah, if anyone wants to dig into that, there's a thing called create VRM avatar or something like that .js. It's all in there. Everything relating to VRMs is in there.
Well, the VRM factory?
Yeah, that's it. Create VRM
Yeah.
factory. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was trying to add expressions the other day. I got curious, but it didn't work. I broke it.
I think I'm sharing it on the screen, but yeah, I'm sorry about the non dark mode. This is a default browser I got. So,
Oh, it's all good, man.
sorry.
No sweat, man. You're good.
I
And
saw a
then this
tweet
is
the
the
other day. There was somebody was trying to argue that if you use light mode, it's more productive. I'm like, you kidding me?
Maybe it feels more productive because you're like always squinting,
oh man, that's a
Yeah. It's kind of like pinching yourself to
you're
see if you're
squinting and you're
alive.
trying to get out. Exactly. It makes you move faster to get out of the screen, whatever you're doing. Nice. And then I posted on the chat as well from what do you call it? From Vox.
Vox, yes,
One
this
of
is the
his
Atlas. Yes,
assets. Yeah.
yes.
And then he also posted a very cool like movement atlas, like where it's moving and stuff. So, oh, sorry about the volume there. But yeah, he
That
put,
thing's crazy.
and
I
that's
don't
all.
know what it is. I
I don't
have
know how he
10 of
did
them.
that. I don't know how he did it. It's amazing. I want to do I want to like launch players through it. Um, like a boost or something, or warp gate.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
I still
And
don't know
then
what it is though.
did you did it's a cool thing.
Yeah.
It's magic. It's not,
That
well,
the Atlas
yeah,
thing that he
it,
made was really cool. Like,
The
I don't know what it
raindrop
is. Like,
effect.
yeah,
Wow. I don't know how he did that. The
it's
little
all
pixel falling.
UV scrolls. It looks like.
But how though? How are you scrolling one pixel across a mesh? Crazy.
The
and then
Atlas thing
we
that he
all,
made was pretty cool as well. Like all the I don't know what it is. Like they're just basic colors, right? For some reason it just looked really nice. Like you've got instant bloom ready to go. I guess the colors that you pick matter.
Yeah, you can't really do like all of like I did all of them over the mesh and things got a bit crazy. Yeah. I love it though. It's great having options in world without having to go back to like Blender and be like, oh, maybe I want it this rough, you know? Like it's so cool, man. Really good, great job you did, man. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see what else we got. And then Oquan from Project 89 posted some teas. And so let me throw that on the stage as well. It looks like there's some interactive stuff going on, so looking forward to that. And let's see where this was. There you go. Oh, yep, the mini map. Oh yeah, definitely. I love that. I can see so many games like using a mini map where you play through the mini map and you can walk around and look at things firsthand. And that's almost like Zelda right there. The little switch. I can totally
That's pretty
see.
cool. Is that using the UI and just drawing like billions of little squares? There's like millions of
Yeah,
little cells.
I think each represents a unit, a Hyperfy unit.
Yeah. A Hyperfy unit. So for the world to load, you got to throw down some hyper tokens for each pixel.
No, like you know, like a game unit in world.
Oh, okay.
Like a
Yeah, like a
meter.
world.
So 1 unit,
Yeah.
1 meter.
Yeah.
1,000 by 1,000.
Sorry, I'm not American. You guys say a yard? Something? What's closest to a meter?
Like 3 yards? Is that 2 yards? Let's see.
Yeah, like a meter. Yeah.
It's almost 1-to-1. It's like 1 and 2. Oh no, wait. Yeah, 1.1. Yeah, it's basically the same.
Basically a meter.
Just don't tell that to a scientist. The scientist.
Yeah, scientists. Yeah, basically a meter.
Cypher's asking if the VRM factory is a software solution. If so, can you post the
soft
link?
solution, so you can post a link. Yeah, it is. The VRM factory. So just in the GitHub repo, look up create vrmfactory.js. It's in the it's in the extras folder of the core. We use
and Hyperfy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, but that's basically what we're doing. So we're using 3VRM for the heavy lifting there. I made like a bunch of changes there to make it more performant. So VRM by default has for some reason has 3 versions of the skeleton in the world at every time, and so every single frame it's updating 3 skeletons at like a time. So the VRM factory basically wraps around that and fixes all these performance issues, and it lowers the animation rate for things when they're further away for performance and stuff like that.
And I'm sorry, where do I find this in the repo?
Oh, it's in the chat. Yeah,
there you go.
got you.
That's it.
Perfect.
Omka's building a calendar by the looks of it for events.
Fancy.
Yeah. A whole
Is that calendar?
The resurrection.
Is that a calendar? And is that basically you could create like push, or is that for just informational purposes to be able to see events? Or are you going to be able to interact? Does that become an interactive panel that you can like click on the event and take actions from there?
From what I saw in
Both.
another demo, it was more like, you know how like Luma works? It's like events happening, there's a calendar, you click on the day and then you can oh, Umka's gonna explain it better. There we go.
Yeah.
Game.
Yeah.
And if you want to share, you can share your screen too.
Yeah, give me a second. Yeah, so I've been working on kind of like a I don't know, I'm just calling it OS for now, but like different component pieces that all work together, and playing with world storage, and um, we've been helping out on building out a world, so kind of building the pieces that we need for it, and so it saves the events per player ID that created it, and saves it to world storage, and then those will also push as notifications. And because it's like time-based and calendar-based, you can also set like reminders so that like when you come in, it's for like daily challenges or events going on, you know, you'll get like a chat update in the chat, and which will also be able to push to like Discord webhooks. And then I'm working on like having it push out, like doing some API stuff to like push out to and integrate. And yeah, I think Bogey said it good. It's kind of like like Luma
Yeah.
in world. And yeah, part of it is to basically I needed something that was time based to keep track of certain things and keep track of people's like
Pro-
achievements and quests
progress.
and progress and events. And so that was kind of like the basis of creating a database. I was like, well, why not just make it an actual calendar? And so I started playing with that. Yeah, and trying to make it so that any of these like OS or UI type things that I'm creating are mobile friendly and also VR friendly. So like that one's showing it on screen UI, but I'm making it so that all of them toggle into world too, like right in front of your player, so you can do it in VR. And it's all click based and touch screen based instead of like having to type stuff or whatever. And I've been playing with chat commands a lot too, so you can type in chat without having to do certain things. I can share my screen. Oh, I think you have to stop sharing your screen. Kind of show
Yep.
some of the show little peek. So I've been doing stuff like this where I made this template so that they're all kind of like the size that looks well on mobile when it's um like when you're on mobile, this shows up well like centered, and it's like right off the edge of your reticule. And then I also made it so that sorry, I got a lot of shit going on right now. This is my super test world. Getting all the secret stuff. What am I looking for here? I'm looking for the search. So I got it set to where you can put it where you need it to be. But this space like right around here is what looks well when it's on mobile. And then I'm working with like pages so that things can have the UI can change through different UIs and different views. And then you close it, and then I have it so you can set a command and open it back up. And then I have other ones like this players list. Let me throw another player into the world real quick. Hold on.
We're gonna need that in core anyway, because we need to do stuff like make somebody a builder and kick them and see if they're like who's in the world and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I have this. It shows all the players in the world. And then when you click on them, it shows like their admin, if they're admin, their name, their ID, their position, rotation. And then, so I can go to this other dude, I can teleport them to me, and then I can teleport to them. And then if I had another player in this world, I can summon everyone to me.
That's cool.
And then, so this is a future, this is the next iteration of this guy, which still I have this one where you can toggle it into screen or world, so it's in world, so this is like VR friendly. And then this one is the first iteration of that other one, but this is setting your position, and I can actually drop pins. So I'm dropping all these pins, and then you can check which ones my pins are, and I can teleport back to my pins. Um, and then I can teleport to the player. I can summon everyone there, and then the next iteration of that is this one. Oh yeah, so it's set right now. So now I have it so that I can just go pin here. And so it said, I set it to pin here, and then I can check my pins, and I can clear my pins. And then I don't know if I have it set. Let me see. I can set pin here again. Then it should be working now that I can go like this. Yeah, and I can teleport to the pin. I think
That's
here
crazy.
was. I've been
That's
doing
wild,
some
man.
shit. So this is how I'm getting the world story. So this would be part of the questing too. So you can be like, you can type in, you'll be able to type in like challenge, and then it'll pull up all the daily challenges. And
Like
so the
slash
next
dailies
thing,
or
and
something. Yeah, bro.
yeah, slash dailies. So one thing I wanted to pick your brain on, Ash, is you know how like when you do like spawn set and it does the message right there.
Yeah.
What is in the hype? Like, how do I, you got world.chat, world.command, or world.on command, right? And world.chat. So I can make things, obviously I can make things appear in the chat.
Yeah.
But how do I make them appear as that message? Because I want things to show up just on the client side sometimes and not actually go into the chat for everyone.
Oh, you want a local only chat? Yeah. So
Yeah.
when you call world.chat and you pass in an object that has like the ID and the message and who it's from, um,
Right.
that first argument is that object, but the second argument, if you set to true, I think it will be local only, so it won't network. No one else will see it.
Oh my God, thank you. Yeah. So
You
we're gonna
see
have
Oh my gosh.
in apps.js, plural
okay.
apps.
Yeah, I
In
tried to dig. I tried to dig through there, and the core UI had a couple of things about chat. Okay, sweet. So we're gonna
so
have a DM system.
yeah, you want to set it to false. So the second argument is a broadcast parameter. So you say by default it's true. It'll broadcast to everybody, but if you set it to false, it will just stay.
Oh, wow.
Dope.
Well, I'm gonna have some cool stuff for you by next time we meet. Um,
Yeah.
because I have it half built already. Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, that's some of the stuff I've been working on. Um, and so yeah, the way these places work is so like this one. It's kind of like I riffed off of the location nader from MetaRig and your teleport command. So I can also just go like, yep, and go to there. I can go to like, I think I have a far away in here. Yeah, far away. And then these pins and this is a quest one that's gonna have like a rotating question mark above it. And that's what's getting on the mini maps. So those are what's actually going on this map. So the pins are the red on the map, and these ones are the yellows that are on the map, and I'm green. And so that's how that's working. And then it's quadrant based, so it'll like go over to the next section. It's a little less than quadrant based right now because I can fly like a little. It's supposed to be matched at 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers, and like you said, it's like a billion cells, right? And so you're just lighting it. It's like a light bright pixels lighting up the cells is how it works. So it's definitely in the works and needs a little bit of love because it's a little it's doing a lot,
I
it's
feel like it's updating too much or too
that's what
often.
I'm saying. Like there's
Yeah,
there's some
yeah.
stuff I need to work on the efficiency of it because it's not the most ideal. And I tried it the other way around too, where like the map's actually moving and the dot's not moving. which is the way a lot of
That'll
other
be
mini maps work.
Yeah, that would probably be more like less performant. I'm guessing what happens is every time you need to change it, like if they move from one square to another, that you redrawing the
Mhm.
entire map
Yeah,
again. But you could
yeah.
probably get around that by like smartly knowing which ones need to change, and instead of rebuilding the whole thing when it needs to be rebuilt, is to just change
Mhm.
that one green one to back to black, and then the next one to green. And then it doesn't have to go and update all of them.
Okay, yeah, it's sort of like on pointer enter and leave, where it's just like, yeah, switch the color of this cell. Okay, I think that originally was how I was doing it, but now I noticed that, yeah, it's like I'm running a slow motion sometimes. It is trying to do a little bit too much computing.
I
There's
mean, it's
there's
Okay,
rendering
also
it
good.
like
here.
you know how some games have the top bar that has the northeast, south, and west, but then it
The
has like
compass.
points of
Hmm.
interest on it. Yeah, like a compass.
Mhm,
I wonder if that would
mhm.
work as like that kind of concept because you wouldn't be able to see everything all at once, but you would be able to see the direction that you're going, and you'd be able to have different icons for different things.
Yeah,
That
Doge
would
kind of
look
made
so
that.
cool.
Yeah,
Doge made a little bit of that already, so it's kind of riffing off of that. That's actually, I was playing with his a little bit, um, to help structure to know. So it goes like up is when you spawn in where you're facing at 000. When you go up, that's north, and then
yeah.
that's how I help it know like which way to go. Um, but yeah, a combination of those for sure.
I'm just thinking of like
Eh,
a little 3D object above the player's head as well, like as an option. That'd be
Yeah, and
cool.
I would like to eventually. I mean, because this is pretty tiny and stuff, but I want to be able to like click on the map and also like teleport there, or maybe get some more information about what that
Ooh.
is if I've
Yeah,
gone to it.
Bro.
Like that's like my so kind of like you're saying, like having these ideas, Ash, of like thinking in the future and trying to build all these little pieces of like I know where I'm going and what I want, so I'm trying to make all these little parts that play nice together.
yeah.
And so like the places and the quest also work with the map, but also work with the portals and also work with the chat commands and also work with oh yeah, there's one more I have.
So we could probably add an option for you to take camera snapshots in world client side. And so you could
Ooh.
actually put like take a camera snapshot from up above in
Yes.
like orthographic mode, and then
Yes,
use
that's
that in the UI. um,
exactly.
and instead of having all of those boxes, like right now you've got like what is it? It looks like
A
200 by
It's
lot.
like
200 or something.
five.
Like it's
It's like
huge. There's like
500 by 500. It's a 400 by 400, I think, is so many. So yeah, it's a lot.
There's there's like 2 million little squares there. Instead of that, you could just have one image for the actual background, like a top-down view of the map, and then you would just
Exactly.
need to have like icons or little squares as you currently got, just in the places that they need to be, just
Is
using
that
like
like
ratios for positioning.
Yeah, like GTA style. That's what I was thinking as well.
would it be possible to like do like a render texture, I guess? Like have a
The
map
texture,
camera? So like the
and
camera rendering to screen UI?
yeah, you could have it constantly updating or something like that as well. But
So that'd be
if we
kind of
just had
cool.
this like a function that you could call in an app that said, take a screenshot from this position, whether it's perspective camera or orthographic,
Hmm.
with this near
Hmm.
far value, and then you just get back like a base 64 image. You could do whatever you want with it. So you could use it as an image. You could send it off to some server if you wanted to. Like you do whatever you want. Obviously, like
Yeah, that'd be
every image is, if you were to do like full on movement, then it would probably, the performance wouldn't be amazing, but like it's
Hmm.
doable because it's basically rendering the whole scene again. So
right.
if you did that 60 times a second, then you're basically rendering the entire world twice. But yeah.
Yeah. The screenshot thing would be really cool also for achievements, quests, socials to be
Yeah.
able to take screenshot like, hey, part of completing this quest is to go find this thing, take a screenshot next to it, and then that's like your proof of completion, right? And you got to go post it on Lens or Twitter, and that's how like it's part of the whole flow, or like it goes into the Forge system or whatever, right?
Yeah, did
And this
someone
is
say to
this.
send base 64 camera view to external sites? Oh, I thought you were
Yeah,
talking about like the security ramifications of that. Just the fact that any app
uh,
can take a screenshot and send it to them like whenever.
yeah, yeah. That yeah, that would be.
But that's why we're
Also,
gonna vet hypes. Like, Apple vets
Exactly.
apps, so it's fine. It's all right. Rogue Town can have their modded apps. It's cool.
Yeah.
But
I've been talking a
the
lot, but
hyper
yeah, this.
timeline. Yeah.
That's true though. Portal world images like totally doable, Maximus, I think.
Oh, sweet.
I love it. Yeah, that'd be
Um,
great.
I
But
didn't
yeah,
think
this is
adding
the
that would be very
this.
hard. If anyone wants to tackle it, I can probably point them in the right direction, or maybe I can look at it at some point. But,
I was about to ask, like, how would when it comes to this with the image over stuff in the UI or anything like that, is there like that's what you're saying has to be added essentially,
yeah,
like the
but
functionality? Okay, yeah, that's
the
that's
concept's
something
pretty
I've
simple.
tried
You're
for a
basically
while.
saying like in apps.js, you would have a world.screenshot function that you would pass
Uh,
in a position and a direction, and then the parameters of whether it's perspective or orthographic, especially for like cameras like mini maps, you want orthographic probably.
yeah,
And then
Yeah.
all it
I
would
would like.
do is just literally just be one function that puts a camera up there in the right directions and stuff, then calls render in between frames with that new camera, and then turns it into a base 64. Easy.
and then you can feed it to Eliza, and she can see. Holy crap!
Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah. No, I
Yeah, I
like
got
it.
Man.
some ideas now.
I'll
What?
play with that. I'll take a jab at it and see if I can accomplish it and ask you if I need any help.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, this is the last thing is like to say how it all integrates. Like these places, they work with the portals, they work with the map, and they also work with this in the same way the player list does. So you can, this will update. Um, if and I have it so that you have to click refresh actually, so it's
This
not
is
like
why you're
constant.
asking about how the events and stuff work the other day.
Yeah,
Sounds like you figured that
exactly.
all out. You got all these apps talking.
Yeah, and so you see that updated. So now I can teleport to them just from going to here. So it's all like part of the questing system and stuff. And yeah, to figure out events. And I wanted to know where all my apps were, because we've been messing with Eliza a little bit too. So like part of this is like having ways to add names and stuff to things and positions so that I can say like, hey Eliza, go to anywhere, yep, and do this thing and come back here. And now I can say like go take a screenshot and stuff. That'd be cool.
If you
But
maybe you already are, but if you haven't, reach out to Lastrum because he's doing that stuff with Forge, and then that like
mhm.
I think there's a lot of crossover on things that you guys are doing. So
Yeah, we've been DMing a little bit back and forth. He popped
yeah,
in
cool.
voice the other day too. Yeah, I think we're gonna find a way to bridge it all. He's said he's gonna put out the hype version of Forge pretty soon here and give us some testing firms and get some feedback and stuff. So
Yeah,
Awesome.
he did some pretty good stuff with that avatar thing, and that was something we was talking about the other night there, and it was like, dang, the next day he had that out from DCL to the Forge to Hyperfy, the avatars. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty freaking epic. Just need that. We need more of that VRM interop across other platforms. I know Decentraland lets you export as VRM, but it'd be cool if you could bring VRM into it. Obviously,
They actually
they
stopped doing that recently when they did the new client.
Yeah, they did. That's what people were complaining about, and
hold
he
up.
went. He was just like,
Yeah,
They
"Yeah,
yeah,
got
like,
rid
yeah.
of the VRM export.
Yeah, bro, and they're not
that's why he's
continuing
made
web
the
support
forges
for it.
like that so much." Yeah,
That's
he's
that's
made.
why Lustrum's getting hyper again.
I'm not gonna lie, those guys are on crack, right? Like they spent how long building that, and then they went and made a new client and just went, nah, we just get rid of that thing we worked months on.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's crazy. They would have spent a lot of time building that. Who am I to say they're on crack? but
I
still.
mean, the landscape is, this it's like web metaverse, like, Hyperfy, man. Like,
Crazy. Man, I love that. I love the fact that I could export my Decentraland character and
yeah, that
bring
was
him
the cool.
over.
That was like some of the greatest news I heard in a while. You know, I was
Because
like,
they
oh
have
sweet,
good
I'm going straight
style
in.
avatars and
Yes. Yeah, I
they
love the
look
aesthetic.
cool. There's like billions of wearables that are just locked away in this platform that 12 people go to every day.
Lastrom found the solution for that. You should get him talking about it soon. He's
Oh
excited.
yeah.
He found
The
We
he
will.
solution
found the
is
workaround.
Hyperfy.
Oh, really?
The solution is Hyperfy,
Oh
right?
yeah, he created something. It's coming soon. If you didn't, yeah, sure. And the VRM management there, he made a workaround. He wasn't happy with that, so he found a way to make it so you can do it still, and you can bring them into Hyperfy now from Decentraland. Get your
Yep.
VRMs and get your
In addition,
wearables.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd love to have a wearable system. I've spoken about this before, but I'd love to have like a proper wearable system in Hyperfy. With live updates. So like you walk up to something and you're like a quest gives you a hat and you put the hat on like right then and there. I think that it just like unlocks a lot. Like it unlocks an entire
might have a
community of people who
surprise.
can create wearables, and it
Yeah.
creates this whole like ability of people wanting to collect everything. And have like this huge collection of different things that they can swap in and out, and
Yeah,
We might.
Brandemus was mentioning some standardizations. I think that's the next kind of evolution of VRM or whatever is getting those wearables to be a way that you can attach them to attach and detach very easily. And then talking about features, I did want to call out the Hyperworld host team that introduced world import and export on their site. So definitely
Yes.
check that link.
Oh, that's dope. Nice.
Yeah, one step closer to pure ownership. I love it. The fact that you can like export your entire world and have it as a single folder, same as Minecraft, they have a world folder, right? And that's that you can keep that and no one can take it away from you. Especially like, um, obviously people don't want to self-host because they have to spin up their own servers, and who the hell wants to do any of that? So having somebody else that you can set up a world in one click, but still have this ability to fully own your stuff, back it up as well, and maybe even share your worlds with other people if you're like doing stuff like that. It's like that's a must-have, and it's awesome to hear that we've got that.
Indeed. And then I posted emotional still has a bounty out if you guys can, if anybody has any capacity to take on a project, definitely reach out to him. He's been looking to build out the Fediverse, in terms of building out worlds. That could be our first cinematic world, a Fediverse. Let's see if there's anything else. Ash, do you have anything on your side? Oh, Jan's Acre Boom Studio World is live, so super neat world that he's been able to spin up and with all of his creations, his topiaries. So definitely check that out. He has a cool bat. The bat thing is pretty neat. The bats are coming out of the monument statue.
News for me. Yeah, so I've been looking at a few things. I think the probably the biggest thing at the moment was working on the occlusion culling for the last week or two. Probably more like 2, maybe 3 even. I can't even remember now. That was a bit of a rabbit hole, but I'm back out of that rabbit hole. So occlusion culling was pretty good. The performance was, in certain cases, was really, really good. And in the process, we also added ambient occlusion. I'm not sure if anyone noticed that, but like a few people have, where you kind of get like these shadows in the crevices of every model in your scene. And it's a little bit better than V1. So V1 also had ambient occlusion, and it just adds more depth to worlds. I freaking love it, especially if you're doing like low poly worlds. You can make low poly worlds look really nice without having to like do crazy textures or really detailed models. So just kind of adds a lot to that that depth just makes everything just feel more real and immersive. We're doing screen space ambient occlusion, which is different to V1. So V1 was just using a regular depth pass and basically just adding ambient occlusion to things that were close to the camera, whereas screen space ambient occlusion is the whole scene. And so if you toggle, it's in dev now. If anyone wants to switch over to it, and it will make it into the main branch and be live probably in the next week. But yeah, you can toggle it on and off and see the difference. I think in almost all examples that I've seen, it's worth having on. The performance isn't huge. There's obviously a little bit of performance problem, but I've had worlds on mobile that run fine with it, so like not a big issue. And with that update, I also made a small performance update to the way that anti-aliasing works in worlds, which was something that I noticed when I was doing a occlusion culling render pipeline branch. Yeah. What else? The occlusion culling thing, I'm going to put it on a pause because there's a couple other things that I want to do right now, just to keep things moving. But I was doing BVH trees as another example. So there's in so many in many different cases, the occlusion culling was really, really good and unlocked mobile performance in worlds that wouldn't work before. But there are certain cases where that trade-off didn't work out quite like perfect. Like if you had too many things in the world, then your CPU usage is way too high, even though your GPU went down, which was the kind of like the whole point. So it's just kind of like a balance there. One of the solutions to that was switching from loose OC trees to BVH trees, and it's kind of getting into technical stuff. Like, it's just another option that seemed a lot better, and it looks promising, but I'm still going to pause on it for a bit. Right now, I'm working on scene apps. So, the worlds currently start off with green grass, and there is an option in the world settings that you can just swap it out to another GLB. I'm going to turn the grass into an app itself. So it'll be an app, it's a scene app. And you'll be able to create these other apps that are scene apps, like environments. You can swap out the skybox, add another GLB, you can have scripts and everything inside of it. And if you drop one of those into your world, it will deactivate or disable any other scene app that you have in the world. And so a scene app is basically a regular app, except it's locked in the 000 position, so you can't move it around. Just makes it easy to swap things out. Like trying to move around an app that has a mountain that is 2 kilometers wide kind of gets really weird. So just kind of like get rid of the transforms for that and just set it at 000. And so
Origin
you get
apps.
this.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, origin apps. Yeah. At the moment, I'm calling them scenes. I tried a couple of things. It's like the idea of calling them an environment app, a base app. There's a bunch of different things there, but at the moment, I'm just calling them scenes. Once we have that, then it's going to be way easier for people to swap out of grass. And I think I'm going to embed the floor collider into that default grass scene app, so that you can actually just get rid of the floor collider if you want.
Snap, yo.
Reason being that if you do like a floating island world, or like a world where you're something like up in the clouds, you still want your ground island part of like that to be at 000. But then when you walk off the edge, you want to be able to fall. And so I think having the collider embedded in there is good. Anything other than the grass plane? Yeah.
Could we do zero gravity with physics?
You can just lower the amount of gravity. Yeah, like even on the moon, there's a bit of gravity, right? And you can still float around and stuff. But if you wanted to do like full on space, if you turned gravity to 0, yeah, I think maybe it would work. I'd have to play around with it, but it's totally possible. Like people use physics to do space games. Yeah.
Nice. That's lovely. Thank you. That's good.
But yeah, so one of the things that I really want to do is create like a bounties or like fund dedicated to getting a bunch of different scenes. I'm going to create one that's a little bit like if you've ever seen WildStar, the MMO, they had a player housing system in there, and everyone had this like floating island thing up in space. kind of thing. I'm gonna create like something inspired by that because I think that's really cool with like a space background and kind of like this mechanical floating sci-fi type island. Do
Nice.
something like that. But I want to see a bunch of more, so I think like throwing some money at that would give us a good, nice collection of kind of like base scenes that people can just swap into without having to think too much about it.
Hyperthon.
Vox, yeah,
Oh my gosh.
you can
Like-
use that as a prefix for so many things.
Yeah.
Just
It's
saying,
funny.
look.
It's like
Take
when
it.
Mona came out, they did that buildathon, right? So
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, good method. It worked. I had fun. A lot of people did. I think Jin won that one. That very first one back in
Oh, yeah,
21.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Maybe-
want to see.
maybe-
I want to see more content. I think people build a lot of like cool tech demos and stuff, but I think I want to see like more scene environment, like base scenes. I think I want to see more of.
Yeah.
And then from there we'll start doing things like more assets and apps and stuff like that, like smaller objects.
Yeah. Big. Yeah. I love that idea. Like a desert scene or like a forest. Well, I mean, forest scene's pretty easy, but like, yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
ocean scene.
We need them all. Oh,
Yeah.
I might be
catch 'em
biased.
all.
I already got a giant desert one, but still. Yeah.
Hmm.
Cool. Well, I gotta drop. If you guys want to stick around longer or start heading
I
to
think that covers
these.
everything. Yeah, and I need to go have another coffee, I think. But yeah, I think we covered a lot. There's still a lot more coming, and keep doing what you're all doing.
Stay hyper.
Stay hyped. Yeah. All right. Take care, folks. Really good
Peace.
catch. Thank you.